All right, so I'm going to be breaking down how I scaled this online fitness coach from $3,000 a month to $12,000 a month in just 30 days. Make sure you watch the entire video, obviously. Take notes, ask questions in the comments. Do whatever you got to do to extract the most value from this video because I want it to be something that you use to actually make changes in your business. I don't want this to be, another free resource, another free video that you watch and it just, collects dust in a mental file cabinet. I actually want you guys to go sign clients, grow your content, like make real implementations that have a positive effect on your fitness coaching business. So please take this video seriously. Now, I'm going to break down every single step that we took from the moment me and my client Danny met to when he hit $12,000, like you can see here in our Slack message. So again, if you have any questions through any of the steps, if anything doesn't make sense, make sure you can go ahead and put that in the comments. But everything should be pretty clear. Now, before we get into this video, I want you to understand where Danny was so that you can have a clear picture of why I did certain things to help him get towards his goal. He's a 24-year-old online fitness coach who's been, coaching and posting content for about a year. And he was one of those people who was super inconsistent with client signs. Revenue was fluctuating, and he had, 20,000 followers-ish on Instagram. While doing all that, still working a job, right? Working a 9 to 5 in tech. And the main issues he was struggling was, one, content was getting some views here and there from like trendy videos, but following has been plateaued for months. So no real growth there on the top of funnel perspective. And it's been, really just like a dry page overall. And two, because of that, right, the DMs are full of either unqualified people who can't afford his high ticket coaching program or have no urgency to actually make a change in their life to, get into fitness, to change their habits. They have no urgency, right? And so what did that lead to? Well, it meant he's going to start taking on clients that he's not fully passionate about helping. People who don't fully commit and maybe pay $100 to $200 a month. And obviously you can't, run a sustainable business off of that. You're going to burn out. The clients aren't great. It's not fun. To solve this before in the past, he invested into 2 previous mentorships. Unfortunately, the typical story that we've all heard. One promised one-on-one support, and it turned out to be group. And one was, this like massive course that just gave him no time of day. And, it was just kind of some general business course that wasn't actually tailored to helping fitness coaches. And that's a huge thing, guys. If you're someone who's invested into mentorship or you're thinking of investing into working with someone to help you get to that next level in your fitness coaching business, you need to do it with someone who specifically helps fitness coaches. There's so many business programs that do not actually understand how a fitness coaching business differentiates from maybe a stock trading coaching business, a life coaching business, and all these other coaches that are coaches, consultants, agencies that run online. With fitness coaches, it's a little bit of a different game. And the thing is with Danny, right, like he had strong work ethic, but no proper tool strategy or guidance for his specific situation. And he was like a lot of you, right? Like reading tons of free resources, using the ChatGPT prompts and free courses, but information wasn't really doing much, and he wanted someone he could trust to partner up with and help him scale past $10,000 a month. He has a huge heart for helping individuals, and I can attest to that. He's a great guy, entrepreneurially minded, and passionate about building the best program for his clients. So that's Danny. Now let's get into how I helped him. Just before we do that as well, I need you guys, I know, I don't want to, just sit here and flex, but I need you to know that I actually know what I'm talking about. If you don't know too much about me, maybe you just started following me recently, or you've been following me for some time, I'll just give you a refresher. Hi, my name's Maxwell Hagan. I run a full-service done-with-you and or done-for-you program for online fitness coaches doing between $0 and $100,000 a month, looking to scale and sign more clients. My mission is pretty simple. It's to help impact or vision-focused fitness coaches find and execute a strategy that allows them to successfully share their story with the world through content, grow their business with dream high-ticket clients, and do what they love for a long-term living, changing lives. Muscle Media Management, my company, it's not some business mindset focused mentorship or some course. I would say much more of a partnership between all of my clients, and I love everybody I work with. Some questions we commonly get: have I managed the biggest fitness creators and helped them launch and scale to massive 5 to 6 figures a month? Yep. Have I helped struggling coaches break through to, the big 10K or all the way up through 30K a month? Absolutely, dozens. And have I guided coaches to, getting their initial success, maybe an in-person trainer going online, or someone who's just passionate about fitness who wants to make it a career? Absolutely, helped tons of people build their first 5 to 8K a month business online, dozens. And here are some examples. So I've helped over 100 online fitness coaches successfully service and scale over the last 2 years. And with that being said, now actually know what I'm talking about. So let's get into how me and Danny scaled over the course of the 30 days. So I'm going to break this up week by week. I'm going to walk you through every single step we took together, why we took that step, so you can kind of cross implement for yourself. So step one in week one, my big goal here is to get ideal client followers. If you don't know, ideal client, or ICP, is sometimes related to, people also call this avatar, whatever you want to call it. It all means the same thing. It's the ideal individual that you want to follow your page, because this person is who you want to work with as a fitness coach. This is the person that you want to service, and the most important part of your entire business is having a lot of clarity on who this individual is. A lot of people think they have an idea of their ideal client, their niche, their avatar, but they don't. And that, kind of whenever I'm looking at a lot of your guys' content, I'm helping in the DMs and stuff like that, this is something we notice a lot, where a lot of you are kind of servicing to a super broad niche without realizing it. And if you don't know why that's bad, if you're someone who's for everybody, you're for nobody, right? Nobody feels like your content and your service is specifically for them. And over the years, not only has Instagram's algorithm, but the fitness industry has just continued to favor niche experts, people who solve one specific problem for one specific individual with a high ticket service, rather than just being the general weight loss guy or girl. Okay. So step one that me and him take, right, with not as well as obviously not just him, every single client I work with, but step one is this onboarding process, where the first task of ours is, who are we going to work with? Who are we going to service? And let's get super, super, super clear on this person. So we have a 2-hour intro call where we walk through a lot of his story, what he's gone through, where his skill sets are, and we put a lot of this towards software, which we'll talk in a minute about, to come to the conclusion of who we want to work with. You can see here after this 2-hour call, we're chatting a little bit here. He had some nice things to say here as well. And the next thing that I'll always say about a lot of my clients is, it's good to see, you can see right from here, blocking out time to work on all of the onboarding documents I give him. And I'll kind of walk through that right now. Right off the get-go, you can see when we start onboarding together, I'm asking Danny a ton of questions about his business, where he's at right now, and what the numbers are looking like. He answers a ton of questions on, like I said, his personal journey, his development over the years, things about himself, things about his business, things about his content. And we take all of this information and we put it into our custom software, which is a client onboarding generator. We put the client's name, their Instagram handle, the niche, the current problems they're, working with, their current offer and what they sell, what they've tried before, their current page metrics, all additional files. So this can be like his current offer docs, anything that he's written or had ChatGPT generated plans, obviously all the questionnaires that he's answering on my behalf. It all goes into there, as well as some call transcripts back from the Read AI note taker from our original 2-hour call. And that all goes towards a couple of things that we're going to talk about in a minute, but that includes, obviously, yes, understanding his ICP. Now, the piece of value and the little gold nugget I want to give to you guys, when it comes to finding the ICP you can serve best, you need 2 things. And this is generally what I look for when choosing a niche for all of my clients, or helping them choose a niche, because if you don't understand who you're working with, you can't do anything. Your content's going to be vague. Your sales process is going to be vague. Your service is going to sound like everybody else's. Weekly one-on-one Zoom calls, custom meal plan, custom workout plan, and grocery list. It sounds like everything else. And when you sell that, you're selling a commodity, a list item. And that's the quickest way to go out of business, especially this year, because, guys, let's just be honest, all that information's out there for free right now, and AI can generate it just as well as you, and it's not worth $2,000 to $3,000. So if you want to to actually function and scale in this marketplace that we're in the fitness industry now, you need to have a very specific, clear understanding of who you are working with, and everything gets built off of that. But there's two things you need. One is authority, right? Authority means you have to be someone worth listening to. You have to have been there and done that. And if your ICP doesn't look up to you and want to become a mini version of you, you probably don't have authority over them. They won't listen to you, and more importantly, they won't buy from you. This is common when I see, for example, maybe the young 20-year-old dude who's trying to help CEOs and entrepreneurs get in shape when this is his first business. He doesn't know what the real pressure is like, what it's like trying to balance the business and the family, right? There's very little authority there, and it's going to be hard for those people to actually take him serious. Is it impossible? No. Maybe he has some in-person connections with some CEOs and stuff, and he's helped them get in shape, and he's a rare case and it works. But 9 times out of 10, when you are trying to work with people above you on like the authority ladder instead of below you, it's going to be really difficult. And next, you're going to need relatability, and this kind of ties into authority, where it means your beliefs, your morals, your interests, and your values should overlap with theirs to some degree. If you can't see yourself getting along with these people, being their friend and mentoring them genuinely, helping them make a transformation in their life and their decisions and who they are, then you can't relate to them and they can't relate to you. The connection will always feel forced, and this is usually what leads to burnout. There's a lot of bigger creators, I would say, who struggle with burnout, people who've maybe been doing it for a little bit and they just feel no connection to the audience they're constantly talking to. And that's a big issue, because when I'm speaking with a lot of my clients, I generally say there's 3 things that people need to be bought into. They need to be bought into you. So you as an individual, right? Your beliefs, your morals, your interests. They need to be bought into the way you do things. So, your unique approach to fitness and solving their specific problems, because you're talking to a specific niche. Maybe you have a specific way of solving, energy crashes and burnout for healthcare employees that, instead of all the other things they've tried, like caffeine and maybe like other stimulants, it's, through a specific way of, meal prepping and obviously all the, the training and nutrition and mindset. That is a approach that they are trying, a new way of doing things that has worked for you because you were in healthcare and you got your life back together with, your systems to fitness and health. And the last thing is they have to be bought into the fact that it can work for them, right? Maybe I don't have time, I don't have this excuse, that excuse, right? They can see that it's worked for other healthcare employees, right? So they need to be bought into you, the way you do things and the fact that it can work for them. And relatability really leans into the you part. Now, I don't mean becoming an influencer and just constantly yapping and talking about your opinions and stuff like that, but you do need to have a good connection with your audience. If you don't have a good connection with your audience, if people don't actually feel like they can resonate with you and they can relate with you on human things, it's going to be very difficult for someone to buy from you as a fitness coach. And the reason is because fitness coaching is extremely emotional. You are running what we call a B2C, business to client relation. I am running, like between me and you, I'm running a B2B operation. It's less emotional. It's more logical. You're watching this right now. You're asking yourself, does he know what he's talking about? Does he have case studies? Does he have proof? Yes. Okay, maybe you'll want to work with me. But it's not about the emotions, right? Of like, oh, I'm rich and I have a cool watch and a cool car. I'm sitting here in a Gymshark t-shirt. I don't care what you think about my lifestyle. I don't post anything about the car I drive or the watch I wear. So it's very logical. But for you guys, there is a lot of emotion. Now, I'm not saying in the sense of flashing how much money you make. I'm saying in the human-to-human relation of, hey, I see you. I understand you. I know what it's like to be in your shoes. And if you think for a second that someone is going to pick some random stranger on the internet who they've never met before to pay thousands of dollars to for a high-ticket transformation program to change their life through fitness, and they can't trust you, they don't really know you that well, if you think that's going to happen, you're out of your mind, right? That's such a big decision, and they're letting you into a very private journey in their life, and so they absolutely need to trust you. And so those are the key 2 things that we are looking for when it comes to picking a niche. Now, in the past, right, like in most maybe other like free resources you've seen or maybe mentorship programs you've been a part of in the past, it's been a long manual process to figure this out. Typically, if you're not familiar with how ICP selection works, it's like, a bunch of questions and, okay, like these are the, couple of niches this might work with. And you and an individual or you and yourself would just go back and forth and try and figure out, who is the group of person that has the most alignment for me? Who do I align with best so that all of my actions, the reels I post, the sales scripts I follow, the fulfillment, the product I build are all fluid and perfectly aligned for this one specific individual. And it was a manual process. You had to answer a lot of questions. It could take some time, but now, thanks to the power of AI, my team and I were able to take every single onboarding that we've done over the last 2 years with all of our successful clients and build a software that allows us to figure this out much quicker. And then I just use my own brain and skill sets to look over each of the outputs that this software generates for our clients to just really make sure that it's the right pick. And that's allowed us to come to the conclusion of who my clients should work with that will be perfect for them so that they can grow quicker in their niche, they can absolutely dominate their niche, and sign more dream clients who are willing to pay high ticket. And so what this software produces, it produces a couple things. First, like I said, right, is a business outline. So you can see right here, right, in this business outline, I'm going to move this little loom thing so I can click on this. It produces a business outline for Danny. It talks about his current position. It talks about his ICP. So you can see from all the questions, it came back with a very clear demographic. And for Danny, he used to kind of just like, oh, I'm working with busy men. Obviously, okay, what does that mean? Half the planet? I'm a busy man, you're a busy man, Danny, we're like, every guy watching this is a busy man, no matter, right? That doesn't speak to one clear individual. And that's the issue that we've seen with ICP, I think, in the fitness industry, where people essentially choose more of a niche than an avatar. Don't get me wrong, having a niche, like a generalized sector that you work in, is okay, but in content, you can't speak to labels because people don't classify themselves as busy professionals. People don't classify themselves as, right, like a label. What they actually resonate with are experiences, pain points, things that they, have actually gone through, right? And so for him, what we were able to come to the conclusion is that in his past, right, he's tried going to the gym, he's tried, the super rigid training structure while he works a job actively in AI and tech. It wasn't really working for him. He tried the 16-minute ab workouts, he tried the fad diets, and what actually worked for him was at-home calisthenics, 5 hours of training a week, and a very simple meal structure. And so what we came to the conclusion of is like, okay, that is the exact individual we want to work with. He's in the Italian market, the Italian man who's working a corporate job who, doesn't want to go to the gym. They don't think they have time to, and they're traveling maybe. And instead wants to try his new way of doing things, which is working out at home, right? And so that's the second thing I was able to help us really define his unique mechanism. A lot of you might be watching this and feel like, oh, I don't know my unique mechanism. I don't have a unique mechanism. That's something I help my clients do. It's extremely important. If you don't have one right now, I don't mean to be the fear-mongering type of marketer, but you're gonna struggle because you're gonna blend in with a lot of people who are saying the exact same thing. And if you don't have a unique approach, or you don't know how to take your approach and make it sound unique and market it the right way, it's gonna be difficult for you to stand out as a fitness coach, especially if you're still starting out. More importantly, as you grow, you really want to have that unique thing that people know you for. But this business outline allowed us to understand all of that. You can see here it breaks down all the pain points, the psychographics, everything about this individual, so that we know how to target them. And the cool thing about this software and all the research that this complex data tool that we created, it scrapes the internet for things about this person, not just Instagram and other reels like a lot of people talk about, like, oh, if you want to research content formats and what works. No, that's old stuff. We're researching Google search trends. We're researching through Reddit forums to see what this exact person is complaining about and what they're struggling with. We're researching through every possible gap and place on the internet of what this person is struggling with, what their life is like, what their thoughts are like, so that we know how to speak to them in content better than any other person who's in this niche, so Danny can target this person better and he can conquer this niche quicker. And you can see again, this business outline is extensive. It walks through exactly who he's targeting, and then it walks through the ideal personal persona. This is something that people miss. They think all about who I'm supposed to target, but they don't think about how they're supposed to portray themselves. I mean, guys, like it or not, right? Like, we want to be authentic in our content, but people buy coaches, not coaching, to a degree, right? They buy into you, and so there's a specific way that we have to portray you, parts of you that we have to amplify and show through our content. And here, right, we talk about all, like, okay, like who has Danny become, his unique qualifications, his relatability that he has to these people, the places we're going to lean into, the things in his lifestyle and his day-to-day that we're going to talk about. And lastly, his founder story narrative. And this is so important because you're going to see in a second, the first bit of content we do in week 1 is storytelling, sharing his story, getting people who relate to his past to follow him, because those people will turn into buyers. And so being able to tell your story in the right way is one of the most important things. If you just tell your story and you just lay it all out there, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, no one cares. Notice, if you do that, probably a lot of you have done that, and unless you have some crazy thing that happened to you, no one cares about that. But when you know how to frame your story the right way, package it the right way, and tell it the right way, you can attract the exact individual that you know will buy from you to your page in organic content for free. It's like running free follower ads from Facebook, except you don't have to pay for them. And again, right, we're going through not only that, but this goes through the core transformation, the offer, everything that we need to understand exactly who we are targeting and how to, do business with this exact individual. But not only does the software generate a business outline, it generates a roadmap. It generates a roadmap that we are going to follow. And of course, obviously, I wouldn't have sent either of these documents over to Danny without checking them over myself and making sure that they're accurate. And, I will say this software is great. It hits the mark to like 80-90%. I only have to make some small changes because it's really good. But in Danny's roadmap, it lays out for the 3 months of us working together. It lays out what we will do every single day. Most people, if maybe you've bought a mentorship or you're thinking about buying a mentorship, you're scared, or you didn't like your last one because you just were given a course, some modules, some videos, or maybe you're just consuming free information online, and it leads to the same feeling. You feel anxious, stuck, overthinking, overwhelmed because you have so much information in your mind, but you don't know how to implement it. You don't know what steps to take every single day. And that's the exact thing that I want to eliminate for all my clients. I don't want people to have analysis paralysis. I don't want people to wake up and after paying me to help them still be stuck and have that freezing feeling every morning. Like you have to ask ChatGPT for content ideas. You have to ask Claude, what do I do today? What do I do? Well, can you give me an outline, right? I give them an outline. I tell them exactly what to do when it comes to content, DMs, when we're, if they're newer, when we're launching the offer, if they're a big creator, how we're launching and then pulling back, everything gets planned out. And we set our goals from the beginning. If you are a fitness coach and you aren't setting goals for yourself, like numerical goals across all departments, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure because you don't have things that you're working towards. You're just kind of aimlessly cycling. I mean, for me, for example, I was a competitive powerlifter. If you don't know that about me, I competed in nationals. I was globally ranked. I was pretty good at it. It's actually the reason why I even am here today in the fitness industry. I've been in the fitness industry for a while. Got sponsored by Gymshark because of this. So there's my little flex moment that I actually am, good. Maybe I look a little smaller, but that was because I was a lightweight powerlifter. I was in the 132 class. But the reason that we set goals is because it gives you clarity, right? You know what you're working towards. For me, like if I wanted to hit, like for example, when I was working towards my first 405 deadlift, when I was like younger, I think I was like 15 or 16. That was huge for me. I every day I woke up and before, even if it wasn't a leg day, a deadlift day, I was thinking of 405. But especially on that day, every volume training, every pause deadlift training, every heavy training, every rest, I was thinking and envisioning 405. And not just obviously my 405 goal for deadlift, but maybe my 365 goal for squat. Maybe my, I don't know at the time around those numbers, maybe it was like 242, 225 on bench, whatever it was. I was, obsessed about those numbers. And the more obsessed I got about the big numbers, I could also obsess about the small numbers. Because here's the thing, if you just obsess about the big numbers, right? 10K a month, 20K a month, 30,000 followers, whatever, right? If you just obsess over the macro numbers, you'll never get there. If you always think about 405, 225, right? You'll never get there. What helps you get towards those goals? The micro numbers, obsessing about each and every individual rep, each and every set you do, the meticulous obsession of the small numbers. And we do the same thing here, right? Not only do we set the big goals for the month, okay, dial in the core pillars of your fitness coaching business, generate 600,000 views, get 15 to 25 booked calls, close 4 to 8 new clients, cash collect $4,000 to $6,000. That's our baseline goal, right? But of course, one, we're always shooting for the stars, and of course we hit them. We hit 12K. But this But this output allows us to focus on the necessary daily inputs that will achieve it. Because all goals in business, just like anything else, can be reverse engineered with math. 600,000 views means 30K interactions. At a 5% rate improvement from the current 1.7% engagement rate, that means if we're doing 50 DMs a day, we should be able to talk to 40 qualified-ish people. We should be able to get 15 to 25 book calls. 48 of them should be turning into closed clients, which gives us 4 to 6K cash at his ticket price. And so when we can obsess about these small numbers right here, when we can obsess, let me get my little pen, about, that's way too big. Let's make this smaller. We can obsess about the conversations a day, the interactions, right? That's still too big. The cash collected, right? When we can obsess about those little numbers, we get towards the big numbers way quicker. And I won't do too big of a scroll through here because I don't want to reveal his whole thing, but I'll show like the intro week, for example. You can see a lot of this is more like intro stuff with me, going through some modules, going through some onboarding material, getting set up with me. But after that, you can kind of see like as we go through, it tomorrow so turns into the daily content steps and stuff like that. And you can see with him, his big thing, he doesn't like to check boxes. Danny, I don't know why you don't like to check the boxes. I thought that was awesome. I'm just kidding. But I like to check boxes. I'm like super ADD, so I like to do that little thing. So some of my clients do, some of my clients don't. But I just took this right from his page. So I'm gonna go back right to that beginning. But you can see again, Danny gets the clarity on exactly what he needs to do. Now, from there, third thing is we have his dashboard. Okay. Again, if you don't know your numbers, then what are you doing? You're not growing. It's very similar to that of, when you guys say to someone who says, oh, I'm in a calorie deficit, but I'm not losing weight. Obviously, you're not in a calorie deficit. If you're not meticulously tracking how many times you're posting a day, the views, where they're coming from, the cash collected, the booked calls, all that stuff, how are you expecting to grow? You can't. You can see here we meticulously track every single one of those data points. How many times he posts a day, the views, the cash collected, the total booking. We track everything and even more. We're going to dive into that in a second. And I'm going to talk about how to track and how to analyze data. The big thing that you guys need to understand, though, the one second lesson I will kind of give throughout this, okay, is that at this point, Danny really understands the content funnel. If you don't understand the content funnel, I'm going to go over it very quickly, okay? Basically, there are billions of people on Instagram that aren't your ICP, your ideal client. And we want to essentially build something that filtrates out all the people who aren't down to the people who are, because those are the people, obviously, right, that are going to buy your offer, who are your ICP. And so there's different types of Instagram reels that we post to do different parts of this funnel. Top of funnel reels. Okay, this is the most broad. It gets more views. They're less qualified in terms of who's watching it, but this is good for discovery. And this is generally where you want to tell your story, stuff maybe that's a little more trendy, right? Transformations, day in life, stuff like that. Middle of funnel reels, this is where you really get people bought into how you do things, the education, you're building trust, and this is where you're essentially planting seeds, right? Tips, workouts, blueprints, methods, stuff like that. And then we have bottom of funnel reels. This is like where we're converting from viewers into dollars, hyper-specific avatar education, case studies, objection handling, proof of client wins, stuff like that. And then we have Instagram stories. And this is where we're constantly, every single day, building within people's minds, right? We're a likable and relatable character, value, and we're also providing proof, right? Teaching your day and showing you walk the walk, not just talking the talk, and engaging with the audience to build culture, essentially. And so when we combine all this, we are now ready to start the first week of content, okay? So step 2 is we have a setup call, okay? It's an hour call of execution, no time wasted. It's all input based. What is the topic of this call? Well, it's simple. How do we tell your story in a way that gets seen by millions of people and hundreds to thousands of qualified ideal client profiles for them to follow the page? We wanted to essentially breathe life back into his page after it's been plateaued for a while and get, again, like I said, hundreds to thousands of people to follow him who are the exact individual that we know will later turn into a buyer if they see more of the right content. So the solution is to use proven formats that I have tested and made over the years, as well as creating amazing hooks, scripts, and pairing them with the right visuals. The thing that you guys have to understand is that good top of funnel reels are literally like free Facebook ads. Once you master them, you will never go broke again in your life. If you know how to tell a good story, it's very difficult for people to not find you and want to work with you. And so again, like I said, all the way back here, right, at part of this business outline, knowing how to tell your story is one of the most powerful things that you can ever do in the social media game. And if you're one of the people who says, oh, well, I'm not used to being vulnerable and sharing my story and, having people know the personal things about me, I'm more comfortable being more surface level with my audience. Well, are you comfortable staying small and not growing as a business owner? Are you comfortable where you are with your revenue? No, Max, I'm not. Okay, so then maybe you should get uncomfortable and learn how to be vulnerable and tell your story. Because, again, one thing I've said to a couple of people who've told me similar stuff to that, this business will always be like a mirror that holds stuff up to you. And sometimes the growth that you want to make isn't going to be the growth that you thought it was. Maybe you love content but you hate sales. Maybe you love working with the clients but you hate making content. You're gonna have to learn how to get over different parts of yourself so that you can move this business forward and do what you're here to do, which is impact more lives. And so again, here the plan is very simple. For week 1, we plan out 14 reels, 3 to 5 IG stories, captions, messaging, all that stuff, planned out uniquely for Danny. Okay. I want to iterate this again. Like, I plan out stuff for him uniquely so he knows exactly what to go making content. All right. And now, because of that, obviously he gets much better results. So week 1 in content, I tell him, so, okay, I want you to do this exact format. Here are some examples. Here's even a tutorial of me making it, how to edit it, how to put it together, what audio to use, literally everything. I line out, and this is just one, for example. I had to blur out, obviously, some of these links that you guys can't go steal them, but this is an example of me planning out the content for him for the week, for the reels specifically. So after I plan this all out, you can see here he had something nice to say. One of his videos popped off really well. He said, "It's all thanks to your very detailed tutorial on how to make that video. And I love the way that some people can relate and get in deep connection with me. Let's go." And so obviously, big thing here, as we talked about, is the tracking, right? So this is in his Notion dashboard, which each of my clients have. He meticulously plans out and tracks each and every piece of content. You can see in here, so for example, this is his video, telling a story essentially. He writes out the whole script. He sends it to me. I check it. I say either green light, good, or nah, I think you need to fix some of this. And then it goes out. So the first week we tracked obviously every single post that we put out. We tracked all of them. These are some of them I put here. And you can see how we obviously track each by type. The format, is it storytelling, transformation? Do we have inspiration from it? The status of it in here in each of the individual ones. Like you can see here, there's the script, the views, the hook, everything gets tracked, because later, not only me and him on call, but AI will help us dissect and make decisions on how to make better content. But we'll talk about that in a second. So he obviously texts me after our first video goes up. Bro, I just posted this reel like 2 minutes ago. I already received comments and messages. You can see from telling a story, right? You can see here, people are saying, "Danny, your latest post is full of meaning, moves me to tears. Thank you for what you are doing. It's insane. I think by now I've never been actually able to share my story in that way." And again, third time I'm saying it, learning to tell your story is one of the best things you can do for your fitness coaching business. And a lot of you have a really great story that you just need to learn how to tell. And some of you don't think maybe your story is as impressive, but that's just because it's you and you have a bias. But I can help you tell it in a great way. And so obviously this is our first week of content and we crushed it. One of his storytelling reels did 1.7 million views. Other videos just popping off in the mid 10, 20, 30 thousands. And he's starting to get tons of followers, right? Every day he's getting dozens and dozens of new followers that total to thousands. And you can see literally just in the first week, we haven't even focused on sales. We're not focused on, converting and sales and DMs and, sending the more offer. Like, I wasn't even focused on that in the first week with him. Like, in the beginning, it's just really focusing on content, and he's already getting on more calls. He had somebody close up for 1,200 revenue, 600 cash collected, and that's in euros, so it's a little bit more in USD. So you can see the immediate effect in the DMs after learning how to tell your story. So that's everything that we did in week 1. Again, to recap, like the big goal here was just getting ideal client followers. And you can see we did that. We told his story. We used the right content formats that I went and planned out for him. And we grew the page and, kind of warmed the page back up with people that we want to turn into buyers.
Yo, what's up? I just wanted to come on here midway through the video and say if that at any time you are wondering, how do I work one-on-one with Max? What is it like to work one-on-one with me? Or if you're curious about any of the done with you, done for you services to grow as a fitness coach, there is a link in the description that you can click to book a call directly with me. We can chat one-on-one. I can get to know more about you, your business, and we can see if we're a good fit and what service is the best fit for you, your struggles, your goals. So yeah, with that being said, let's get back to the video.
So now what do? Well, we have to build trust with the new people and also the current followers. We have to get them more bought into Danny. We have to get them more bought into the way he does things, and so that more people will move closer along and quicker along to working with him, getting on a call and paying to work directly with him as a fitness coach. And so let's break down these steps that we took. So the first thing we did, step one, is in week 2, we dialed in all the rest of the business. So, first was really about content, but then we dial in, service, systems, sales, all that fun stuff. I set out for him, we do custom scripts that he uses for the DMs. He has custom setting and script flows that he uses to message every single person that sees his content and to turn those people into qualified calls. Okay. So we have systems that do that, and he tracks every single individual one. Now, if you're watching this and you are in the $0 to $20,000 range, I'm a heavy believer that you should be doing your own DM setting. And if you're unfamiliar with that, DM setting is where we message people in our audience who are interacting with our content to try and get them on a sales call to offer and pitch our service. So if you're in the $0 to $20,000 a month range, I think you should be doing your own setting because one, it's going to have the highest close rate simply because it's founder led. Like, you're doing your own voice memos, people can tell it to you. You're going to have a really high close rate, high booking rate. Number 2, you get such a good view of your data and knowing what works so that later you can delegate it to a team member, what we call a setter, so that you can go ahead and scale and have somebody do the DMs every day effectively. I think the critical mistake a lot of people make is either one, just not putting attention into outbound. Like, if you're not putting attention into sales processes and messaging like at least 50 to 75, 100 even people a day, trying to actively get more people on sales calls, you're literally leaving money on the table. Like, you just don't want to make more money as a fitness coach. But number 2, if you're doing it, or maybe you're like early on getting a setter to do it or whatnot, you're not tracking everything, some other issues in the sales process. The issue here is you'll never be able to scale properly to $30, $50, $100,000 a month, because if you expect to hire a setter who knows how to do the job better than you can never be a leader for them, 1. 2, every setter, no matter how good they are on another offer, that was just a result of their training that they received there, the work they did and how they tested and iterated different scripts and workflows, pre-call nurture sequences, all that stuff. And if you hire somebody and they show up and you just have no training, you have no SOPs, you don't understand what made sales work for you, and now you're trying to train a team member on it, they're gonna quit. They're gonna walk out, and they're not gonna perform well. So you'll never be able to scale and feel like you can truly let that person do their job because you're still so hands-on with it. But here, Danny is still in the $0 to $20,000 a month bracket, so I'm helping him get a great understanding of his DMs, the conversations, tracking everything, so that when he wants to scale to $30,000 a month and the bigger numbers, and I help him like I help my other clients who are doing bigger numbers. When I help him, scale up and hire team members with our connections and people we have within our agency, setters and all these other people, we can take everything that we track together and put it into good training so that when we, for example, onboard a setter, we can implement them very quickly. There's not like a harsh drop-off window, of revenue. And it's just an overall smoother experience of a team member who's going to feel happier working for Danny. Right. So here, I want to go over some things quickly. Okay. First with scripts, big thing here with scripts is their scripts are good. We have some great scripts we use with our clients, but they aren't end all be all, right? Obviously, when you have a good script, you want to mold it over time to your audience, to your lingo, your language and stuff like that. And you want to track different openers, right? Your opening message, and, figure out what makes that script really click. Okay. In terms of getting on booked calls. A part of your script should also be pre-call nurture sequences. You should have things that you are saying to people between when they book and when they show up to the call to increase the chance that they actually show up and decrease the chance that they don't not show up. Okay. In terms of things that you should be tracking, obviously, in your in a Notion, an Excel sheet, whatever, you should be tracking. Obviously, this typical, like booking rate, close rate, like all those typical sales data. But the main detail that I want to talk about that not a lot of people mention is you should be tracking somewhere where your outbound sales conversations start and seeing down the line, okay, these conversations started off of, for example, the likes on this specific bottom of funnel video that I made. Okay, we outbounded every single like and comment there. We messaged them, and this many people closed, this many people booked, etc. From this video, it was these stats. And over time, the more you track for where exactly each DM conversation comes from in terms of the post, maybe it came again from a bottom funnel or middle funnel post. Maybe it came from a poll vote on your story. It came from a Q&A, a new follower, wherever, whatever bucket or category you pulled that lead from, essentially, you will be able to over time optimize your content for more sales, because you see, okay, when we post this stuff, when we do these Q&As, when we do these poll votes, it gets us this type of show rate, booking rate, type of client, cash collected, close rate, whatever. When we do this type, it gets us this, and you can optimize for the better portion. Okay. Now, we don't do that just manually. Obviously, we use AI to do this, and it's the reason we're tracking this all in Notion is Notion has a great AI tool that I use. I use it with my clients to look through all the data, scan it, and then make big, key decisions for my clients on what they should change in their DM processes, etc. So that's really everything in the sales. Obviously, meticulously tracking the DMs as well as sales calls. So big thing with sales call, and do I talk about this in here or should I talk about it manually? No. So sales call, obviously we have like a rigid structure that he follows. Big thing here, I'll say two things. One is the framing of the sales call. The worst thing you can do in the sales process in your DMs as a fitness coach is position the sales call as a sales call, saying, like reaching out to somebody who just liked something, saying, hey man, are you ready to pay me as a fitness coach? Like, what are you doing? It's like, walking up to some random girl on the street and saying, are you ready to marry me? Like, no nurturing has been done. You've built no relationship, right? And so the best way you want to do it is obviously like you want a structure of the setting conversation to provide value, build some rapport, right? But the way that you frame the call is essentially this. You might get to the end of the conversation towards when you're ready to book in and you say, okay, man, like, look, I think I can really help you with, these problems or getting towards this goal. Why don't we go ahead and set up a call and I'll go ahead and get to know you better as well as build you a free game plan. And if you want to talk about implementing it one-on-one together, we can talk about that. But worst case scenario, you get free clarity on, fixing your problems or achieving your goals. When you position it as like a free game plan call, you get more people on the calls, and you will be able to, especially earlier on in your business journey, understand your audience better. You'll be able to understand pains better, even if you don't close. And that data is so helpful for content and speaking to your avatar. And if they do close, obviously, yay, win-win, right? A lot of people are afraid to do the dirty work. They want to be so efficient. Like, I don't want to get on sales calls. I want to sell through email. Oh my gosh, like you're saying, I want to scale a massive six-figure business and do nothing. Like, do you hear yourself? Like, these are actually things I hear on Instagram. So sorry for the rant, but like, guys, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Like, even I still get on sales calls. Like, I've been doing this for years. Like, I still sometimes, if my setter needs my help, I'll shoot a voice memo. Like, and sometimes I do go in the DMs myself. If I'm just, I'm on tomorrow, 2 or 3 days from now, I'm gonna be on a plane for like, a long time. I'm going to sit on there maybe for a little bit and send some voice messages before going back to doing some higher leverage work. There's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty. It's not embarrassing. As a founder, as a coach, you want to be able to do that. So that's everything we do in sales. Last thing I wanted to say on the sales call, having a good offer presentation. If you don't know how to present your offer the right way, you're going to struggle to close. The reason a lot of my coaches can close at such a high rate is because they know how to present the offer in a way that sells the transformation. It sells the outcomes and not just like a line items of like, you get this, 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 and this for $3,000. Of course, that's not going to sell because they can get this, this, this for zero with Claude AI. So how do you present your offer to this person in a way that psychologically rings out, I need this. I need to work with them or else I'm going to continue to struggle and I should definitely pay for this transformation. They're not paying for the workout plan. They're not paying for the meal plan. They're paying for the transformation. Okay. So that is sales. Now, next is onboarding. Okay. Onboarding your clientele into the program. There's a couple things you need to optimize for here. Okay. One is speed. It needs to be quick. If onboarding from the time they send a payment to when they get started and up and running in Trainerize or, whatever software you're using to work with your clientele, you are taking on risk. That's when someone might start overthinking and like, oh, should I have done this? Buyer's remorse, whatever. It needs to be quick so you can show you care. Two, you need to set expectations clearly and right from the beginning of how you work with your clients. You know, what a good client does throughout the program and how they should act and interact with you, as well as setting the expectations of, and this should be something that's even done on the sales call, setting the expectations. Is this the type of program that's like a one and done program? You know, you work with them, you as a coach for one time, you learn everything, you get the system, and then you never need a coach again? Or is it expected as like, you know, we'll continue to hit new goals every other month? Because setting expectations at the beginning is everything. The expectations you set on how your work relationship looks like with your clients, and what maybe a failed client in the past like did and why you shouldn't do that, and what a good client did and why you should do that, right? That will help you so much in your fulfillment, because the way that someone perceives how they're about to step into something is everything. If they have high expectations, then they're going to put in their best effort. If they have low expectations or no expectations, the following, right? How you set up the expectations of your program matters. And lastly, that's premium. You're using good software, you're using good service, right? You're not just sending a text message. You're not just, you know, giving somebody a Google Doc, right? You have emails set up where all this stuff is automatically done. You have pre-made videos. You're using Typeform, Jotform, whatever for your preliminary information, automatically getting into Trainerize, right? All these software and systems, okay? You need it to be premium. If someone just spent high ticket, right, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to work with you, then why would they expect to then just receive a text from you of like, okay, we'll have an iPhone call in 3 days? Like, major red flag. Okay, when you do this, it's going to get you better client results, because again, the expectations, everything that happens from the start is going to set the tone for how everything happens for the rest of the 2, 4, 6, whatever months you work with your clientele. Okay, and lastly is fulfillment. Okay, there's a bunch of things that we got to talk about here. At the basis, all of you guys have the core basics: training plan, meal plan, accountability. So like, you know, weekly, bi-weekly calls, daily messaging. But there's a lot of other areas where you need to develop your program. That is a basic program, what I just described. It's the core basics. Everybody needs it. But when you want to build the best program, for example, Danny, for Italian men who want to work at home using, you know, calisthenics, for, you know, maybe postpartum mom who wants to gain back that confidence and lose weight after having her first kid, for the, I don't know, the EMS person, whatever it is, right? Whatever avatar that you are working with specifically, you need to help them with a couple other things: direction, development, and decisions. You need to give them direction in this process, so they can't just, you know, okay, like here's a meal plan, here's everything, good luck. No, they need like a roadmap, similar to what I gave to Danny, right? You need to build out a roadmap, the steps they do, giving them clarity on where they're going. The more someone can see where they're going, the more someone will believe it and make better decisions. And that's why it ties into everything, right? Direction ties into development and decisions. You need to help them develop as not just, okay, here's a workout plan, here's a meal plan, that's going to solve your issues. No, that's going to put a Band-Aid over some issues. Maybe it'll drop a couple pounds, but will they change as an individual? Will they make better decisions as an individual that will impact their life, their energy, their relationships, their religion, whatever it is, right? You need to help them develop and make different decisions and have different beliefs as an individual, so that this program isn't the program that they go, oh yeah, Danny, you know, he helped me lose a couple pounds. Dude, no, Danny changed my life. Danny gave me back my mood, my mental stability, my confidence. Like, he really changed how I operate as a person. Those client testimonials make, you know, really successful coaches. The I just lost a couple pounds testimonials make okay coaches. Know what you are trying to build. Build a really good program that really helps people with direction, development, and decisions. And lastly, I'll say, again, build the best possible immersive experience for your ICP to produce confidence for yourself in content and sales to fulfill your mission as a coach. The better this program becomes, the more custom it is to helping this exact specific individual achieve a dream outcome that they want. And it gives them every inch of support they need along the way. When you're in content, you just speak like you know what you're talking about. When I'm talking right now to you guys, the reason I can talk this confidently, and I haven't, you know, maybe I've tripped on my words once or twice, but I'm just rolling off the dome, because I can talk about fitness coaching all day long, how to grow a business, because I know it like the back of my hand. I know how to talk about this better than most people because I've been doing it and I'm really, really good at it. If I was talking about, I don't know, maybe if I was talking about like some high level calculus or something. I wouldn't be this confident, but I understand how to grow a fitness coaching business. So I'm going to be this confident, and I have a ton of results. I believe I have very, very, very good service, and I believe that in my heart. And that is going to be transparent through my content. And also, if you ever speak with me one-on-one on a call where you decide if you want to work with me, you'll see it there too, how I speak and how I carry myself. Very confident. You guys need to have that too. Okay. So on this execution call, what do? It's very similar to the last one, 60-minute execution call. And the topic is now, how do we get the new plus current followers to believe your way of fitness solves their problems best? The solution is mechanism and belief shifting content. Good middle of funnel content, reels, build so much trust and curiosity that people see you as the only solution. A lot of you just make bland educational content. You make content for your middle of funnel that is just, here are 3 tips to do a better RDL. Here are 3 tips to grow your glutes. Here are 3 tips to do a better calorie deficit. I mean, it just makes you sound like everybody else. And each reel you do that pushes somebody away from working with you as a coach because they think more and more, I can do this myself. I know what I'm doing. You need to build curiosity. You need to build urgency so people work with you. And so to do this, we plan out 14 reels again, 3 to 5 IG stories, captions, messaging, all that for the middle funnel this week. By this point, we're getting very close to being able to turn a lot of these people into high ticket clients. Okay. Now, again, the first thing I'll show you too in week 2 content. Another thing we do is we build this mechanism. I have an AI tool that helps with the mechanism, but something I do with each of my clients is we need to get very clear on that mechanism. What is your unique thing, your unique approach to fitness and how you solve things? Because that's not just a content thing. That's obviously a part of your fulfillment and how you help the clients achieve the result they want. So after we get very clear on Danny's unique mechanism, which for him was obviously a mix of, his at-home workout style and how it's way different than going to the gym and stuff, we planned out week 2 of content. We are now tracking everything in content for top of funnel as well as the stories. Individually tracking stories. If you're not tracking your stories, if you don't understand what you're doing every day on your stories, again, you're losing out on engagement. You're losing out on being able to speak to these clients well. And you can see another thing here. I want to say Danny is so consistent with posting almost every single day, 2 times a day, 2 times a day, 2 times a day, 2 times a day, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 1. Like very, very consistent. He doesn't ever hit 0. There was never a day he hit 0. He stays consistent. And like as boring as it sounds, guys, being consistent with content is going to be the fastest way to improve your content because you can do more reps so you can get more stuff into your tracking databases and understand what works and what doesn't. It's like age-old thing. If you can get yourself to the gym every day, no matter how tired you are, there should be no excuse to not be able to get reels and DMs done every single day. Okay, so we get through obviously the formats that we want to make for the week, all the content. We get through the stories we want to make, the mechanism. We now know the top of funnel content we're making. Right, we're continuing to get new followers, new people to the page, and engaging people and building trust with him. But now we're building trust in how he does things, his unique approach, and people are really seeing him as an expert, and they know that they should go to him to solve their problems. And so at this time, what we're also doing on top of all of that content is we're extending current clients that he has. If you're someone who already has a bunch of clients and all you can think about at the beginning of every month is how do I go get more clients, you're fundamentally flawed in your business practices because a good coach knows that a bulk of their revenue will also come from renewals and MRR. Yes, I'm a big proponent of high ticket PIF cash and bigger bulk should come from that, but you should be able to get client extensions if you are a good coach getting people great results. If you don't know how to do that, then you're losing out on a lot of money. You're letting clients just dip off at the end of their program when you could be extending them the right way, morally and logically, so that they actually want to and they have the urgency to extend with you. And so this is something that I work on with a lot of my clients, and you can see right here, we're already getting people. We got like 2.5K in re-signs and a lot more later, just off of extending current clients that he was already working with. So that is week 2 of content. So now our audience is really built in with trust. They trust Danny. They like Danny. They know that, okay, if I want to solve this problem, I'm going to go to him. There's a lot more people, hundreds of thousands of more people on his page who are the exact individual. And now it's just about converting those people, sending more DMs, refining our sales processes, getting more people on sales calls. And that's what we do. Week 3, we get leads into the DMs and book more calls. So we have another call together. We plan out all the week 3 content. And most importantly, we plan out our CTA. I plan out exactly what to do for the CTA, and I'm just going to give this away to you guys, okay? So for the CTA, clear all the stories, okay? And basically just a photo of him just looking jacked, right, with abs, flexing, something like that, and some simple text. I'm looking for 5, and then your ICP, busy Italian men who want a 6-pack, so a dream outcome for summer with only 2 to 3 hours of at-home training a week. DM me start. Very simple, right? The simpler a CTA is, the more, reactions, the more engagement you're going to get with it. If you're not familiar with the CTA, call to action. It's basically saying, hey, I'm opening slots for my coaching. Notice we didn't do this until week 3. We let a lot of good rapport, a lot of good energy build up. And once people really trust us, they feel like we're just showing proof, good content. Then we do the CTA. Then we ask in return. And what happened as a result from all that? Well, we cash collected some, extensions, which was like 3.3K in cash. We signed 2 new clients. We signed, like I said, we extended three new clients. So we pulled together a bunch more money there from that CTA, from the DMs, and from the extensions that we were doing. And to do this again, basically, right, like the execution call, I'll let you know what that all looked like. We were just asking ourselves, like, okay, how do we push people through the door as leads into the DMs? And the solution that really helps here too, I'll say, is a free resource explaining the mechanism plus our first hard CTA. So obviously the CTA helped a lot, but having a free resource where in the DMs we could say, hey man, I saw you like this video where I was talking about why 16-minute ab YouTube workouts don't work. You just vibing with the content, or are you struggling to figure out a way that works for you to get in shape? That's like I might have not said it exactly right, but that's a similar opener that we use a lot in his DM stuff. And so throughout that conversation flow, sometimes instead of providing value, we'll literally just provide a free resource. Or in middle funnel, bottom funnel content, it'll be like a mini chat comment. It'll be like comment X, and I'll send you this free resource. Free resources are amazing for signing clients and building trust, only if you know how to do it. A lot of people do these like the ultimate guide to getting in shape, the ultimate guide to losing weight, and it's like a 60-page document of generic stuff that looks like ChatGPT generated. Like, nobody cares. I promise you. You guys might read that. I put out some longer resources and stuff like that because you guys are business owners. You guys are logical. But people who are busy, in their career, all this stuff, like, and who, you have to understand, if these people cared as much as you did about getting in shape, would they really need you? Probably not. So it's like, you need to understand that you are really fighting for these people's attention to prove to them that they need to work with you to fix their problems with their health and fitness. And I know a lot of you guys are like, well, I want to work with the clients who are the best of the best, who know they have to get in shape, who are ready to invest. And for some of you, that's okay. If you're doing 30, 50K a month, you want to work with better clients like that, you're doing 20, 30K maybe even, then, and you've been in the game for a while, all props to you. And, I work with a lot of clients to help them work with more like the elite clients. But some of you guys, like, the greenies, the new guys, right? Like you're at 0 to 10K a month. You're like, I deserve the dream clients. No, you don't. Okay. You got to go through some average clients or, poor quality clientele to get to the bigger clients. You have to earn those clients. You have to show the A-tier quality client people that you can work with those people, okay? And so, but one of the quickest ways, regardless of where you're at, to get to better clients is to have a free resource that explains your unique mechanism simply, concisely, and it's something we put together. I helped him put together that we use in the sales process that moves people along. It sells people on how he does stuff before they even get to the sales call. And that's where a lot of times he's getting on these sales calls and these people are just piffing, and he doesn't have to like force them and objection handle them and do all those like cornball, Instagram Reels sales takes where they're like, well, is that the problem or the symptom of the problem? Like all that stupid BS that it doesn't actually work. Instead, we just make great content. We provide the free resources that, really move them mentally along, and we get great, obviously he gets his clients really great results. And when that all comes together, people show up to the call ready to pay. And so that was our plan, right? And again, what I'll say here is one amazing free resource explaining your mechanism with proof can make you thousands. I mean, it's made me already this year 6 figures. Like, so I will say, like, a good free resource that explains how you do stuff your way is amazing. And so, yeah, and at this point we are booking in calls at a steady pace, now signing about 1 to 2 clients a week. And so from there, week 4, this is where a hard push, where we want to sign more clients. This is where we get on our last call. We're like, okay, like, how do we hard push for cash and clients with the momentum? And that was, really just making some more client breakdown reels, showing our proof the right way, some free resources, and doing another CTA. It's at this point the momentum is built. It's just time to like capture that lightning in the bottle. I helped them plan out another CTA, another free resource launch, and we finished off the month at 12.5K USD. The big thing here that I'll say, right, is a lot of people don't know how to frame their proof. And the way you frame your proof is the difference between a 3K month and a 10K month, coach, I will say. And at scale, difference between a 10K month and a 50K month, a 50K and a 100K. How you frame your testimonials, how you frame your case studies, your before and afters. You can't just slap a before and after picture and say, come pay me $2,000, $3,000. No, you have to know how to present them in reels and stories and posts so that people want to work with you, so that they trust you. And when we did that in our last week, you can see we crushed it. So that is essentially a recap of what we did in those weeks. And so what now? Well, in month 2 for Danny, our goal is to get to 20K a month. We're going to implement YouTube this month and continue to assess his data and start building SOPs for building a team and scaling. And in month 3, our goal is to get to 30K a month, begin team build out possibly with setters, editors, a client success manager, and all that, and to really conquer his market and niche. So yeah, guys, that was essentially my breakdown of how we got Danny to 12K a month in 30 days. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. You can also message me personally on Instagram at Max Hagan. And of course, if you are interested in working directly with me one-on-one, you're interested in my services, whether you are a beginner coach trying to get to your first 5 to 8K a month, you're struggling trying to get to 10 to 30K a month, or you want to work together to really build a team and scale to those big 5 to 6 figure months, there will be a link in the description to book a call directly with me. There won't be a closer. You can speak directly with me to see if it's a good fit. And we can potentially partner up and grow your online fitness coaching business. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, go crush it.